Hey everyone, today we're diving into a super important topic for singers and musicians who use backing tracks. Backing tracks can totally enhance your performance, giving you that full, rich sound when you're performing solo. But if you're not careful, some common mistakes can really hurt your sound and stage presence. So in this video, we're breaking down 5 mistakes singers often make when using backing tracks and how to avoid and or fix them. Stick around. All right, let's start with the basics. Backing tracks can be used as a game changer for singers, especially if you're a solo performer or part of a small act. Contrary to popular belief, you'll have a lot of haters online that will call it karaoke, but they can be right in certain circumstances, but stick around, I'll tell you how to make it sound really live. When I look at my analytics, there's like 98% who haven't subscribed. It's unbelievable. So do me a favor, subscribe if you like this kind of content. I know you're sick of hearing it, but I've got to whack it in there somewhere. Back to the video. So backing tracks can fill out your sound. They can provide complex arrangements and let you explore genres you might not be able to pull off otherwise. From simple acoustic guitar and drum loops to fully orchestrated pieces, the possibilities are endless. But here's the thing, not all tracks are created equal. Using high quality tracks is absolutely essential. If your tracks sound thin or poorly mixed, it's going to show, especially on a big PA system. But the beauty of backing tracks is their versatility. They work across genres, whether you're doing pop, rock, jazz, blues, you name it. You can even mix different styles to create a unique personal sound. I have used tracks since the mid-90s, starting with a drum machine, MIDI, Rex files, trying to make them myself and everything in between. But we're lucky that we have technology now and it's caught up, allowing us to buy tracks with real instruments that are already mixed, mastered, and conveniently put on separate tracks for download. I'm not sponsored by these guys, although at this point I think I should be. But karaoke version are by far the best I've ever come across. I have other videos on my channel doing a deep dive on how to download these tracks in your audio software, so check it out if you're not familiar. All right, let's get into those common mistakes. Number 1, incorrect volume balance. This is a big one. If your backing track is too loud, it overpowers your vocals. Too quiet, you lose that rich, full sound you're aiming for. The key is finding the right balance. Your vocals should always be clear and sit on top of the mix and not buried beneath it. It's not just about loudness either. The frequency spectrum matters. If your voice and the track are fighting for the same space, like too much mid-range in the track, it can cause muddiness. Learn to EQ your tracks, cutting out unnecessary frequencies to make room for your voice. Before any performance, do a proper sound check with the exact setup you'll be using. Adjust the volume level so the track supports your voice rather than overwhelming it. Another huge issue which you will encounter is normalizing all your backing tracks to be at the same level. While they might sound fine in your home on your monitors, you might find that they sound different at a gig in a different room. I don't know of a fix-all for this solution because the dynamics and sonic sound of every track is slightly different. So what it comes down to is setting your backing track fader on your mixer to one consistent level. And with each new track you introduce to your live rep, make a mental note of where it is. Too loud, too quiet, too muddy, too trebly perhaps. One instrument is too loud or soft. Drums punching through the mix too much or not enough. And then compensate back at home. And even if it sounds contrary on your monitors back home, keep in mind that level you had at the gig. Because an open room, which most gigs are going to sound much different than a small room like your studio. This may take a few iterations, but once you get them at the right level, you can move on and even use those tracks that you know are correct to then A and B them for your next backing track. And then you'll start to fine tune them all. Number 2, lack of practice with tracks. Backing tracks aren't just plug and play. You need to rehearse with them, ideally with the same gear you'll be using on stage. Synchronizing your vocals with the track is crucial, especially if you have instrument breaks, tempo changes, or dynamic shifts. Practice transitions, especially if you're using a foot pedal or remote control to start and stop tracks. Familiarity with the flow of your set list can make a huge difference. I would suggest downloading the individual guitar or piano tracks to practice to so you can isolate the sound. Then once you've nailed it, you can export that audio file without those tracks and you have your finished product. I even do this with the vocals. It's a great way to learn the song. If you really hammer that song when you first learn it, you'll find that once it's burned into your brain, you won't have to practice it again. It's a weird thing. Even the best track can feel awkward if you don't know it inside out. Practice not just singing along, but performing, moving, engaging, making eye contact, and using the space around you. Incorporate visual cues or even audio cues with the track itself to help you stay on track during a performance. Number 3, over-reliance on the track. While backing tracks can help you sound amazing, they can also be a crutch. Remember, stage presence is everything. Make sure you're engaging with your audience and not just focusing on staying in sync with the track. Keep your energy high and remember to perform, not just sing. Use gestures, facial expressions, and even small bits of crowd interaction to make your performance feel alive. Try not to look like you're just singing along to a karaoke track. The audience wants to see you perform. They're looking for your personality, your energy, your interaction. Treat the track as a tool, not the star of the show. Make sense? Here's a mistake that many singers overlook: using backing tracks for every single song. While they're a fantastic tool, relying on them for your entire set can actually hurt your performance. Why? Because it makes your act feel predictable and can overwhelm your audience with constant drums, bass, and other instruments. Try mixing things up. Include acoustic or a cappella songs to your show so as to show your audience you can perform without backing tracks. This not only adds dynamics to your act, but also showcases your versatility and musicianship. Taking breaks from backing tracks also gives listeners a bit of ear relief, making the full arrangements hit harder when you bring them back. Variety is key. It's a great way to show off your musical ability and prove that you can deliver a killer performance with or without the tracks. All right, number 4, not playing strong rhythm or doing your own solos. All right, this is big. To avoid sounding like a karaoke singer, it's essential to make your act feel as live and organic as possible. This means playing strong rhythm guitar or piano throughout your set and taking on all your own solos. When your audience sees you playing confidently and handling instrumental parts yourself, it adds authenticity and energy to your act. Backing tracks are great, but if your entire performance feels automated, it can come across as lacking genuine talent. A good rhythm foundation is the backbone of your performance and should sit slightly higher in the mix. And when you handle solos yourself, it adds a personal touch that backing tracks can't replicate. Your audience will appreciate the effort and skill. Now, this obviously takes some practice, but that's what will set you apart from the next guy and make people remember you. It needs to feel live. Number 5, choosing the right track. Finding the right track can be half the battle. Choose tracks that complement your style, whether it's blues, rock, or pop. Make sure the track supports your vibe. Sometimes a simple acoustic version of a track might work better than a full arrangement, depending on your performance style. Also, keep in mind what suits your vocal. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, that's your intuition telling you it's not going to work. Tempo and key. Now, I've made this mistake many times, but make sure you find the highest vocal notes for your voice that still sounds solid. In other words, sing that song through with a warmed up voice and find those higher notes that you kind of struggle with and bring them down a tone or a semitone so they sit nicely in the top of your range, and then work out the key that you're going to be in. Because you don't want to be struggling vocally or nervous when you get to that bit that you know is a bit too high for you. Right, so find your highest vocal note that still sounds solid. Then transpose the song into that key. This will save you a lot of time rather than diving in and learning chords and solos before you realize you can't sing it. I've been there too many times. Okay, too fast or too slow. This is not really relevant when you buy tracks off karaoke version, but if you're making them yourself or you're buying them from a substandard place, you might find that the tempo is a bit out. And so your performance will feel off. It's worth spending time finding or even creating tracks that suit your vocal range and preferred pace. Pay attention to the arrangement. Is it too cluttered or too sparse? Adjusting instrumentation can make all the difference. If you can, use a digital audio workstation, otherwise known as a DAW, to isolate parts or even remove unnecessary elements to suit your performance better. Sometimes a track will sound great at home, but at a gig it sounds too cluttered. Just remember, less is more when that happens. Okay, final tip. Tip number 6, optimizing track usage. Now let's talk about making those tracks work for you. All right, audio quality. Always aim for high quality recordings. A poorly mixed track will drag down your entire performance. And we've all heard them, right? Make sure your tracks are recorded in stereo, although not essential, especially when using one speaker, but that's another subject. But recorded at least at a high bit rate for the best sound quality. Invest time in editing your tracks. Software like Audacity, Logic Pro, Cubase, they can help you tweak volume levels, cut unnecessary parts, or even add effects, or even change arrangements. Learn to use EQ and compression to make your voice blend well with the track. Professional mixing. If you're serious about your sound but are inexperienced in mixing, consider having your tracks professionally mixed. It can make a world of difference and save you a lot of time. All right, in conclusion, there you have it. 6 common mistakes singers and musicians make when using backing tracks and how to avoid them. Experiment with different tracks and techniques and don't be afraid to tweak things until they sound perfect for you. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope that helps. We'll see you in the next one.